So certain skills, certain soft skills about people, about working together with people, understanding how to communicate and talk to people. These are what I call the soft skills. You know, for us to deal with the sustainability and climate challenge, they're essential.
What sort of advice would you give young professionals, say in their first job, starting to focus on sustainability issues?
I think it's going to be different today. Um, let's say I'm starting my career now and, I'm back in my early 20s. I think today, whichever business you're going in, the word environment or sustainability, supply chain and climate change, net zero, these are things that are much more in your face today. I mean, I get this because I talk to students. I get this because I talk to young professionals. I get this today because there are businesses, there are bosses in different industries coming to me and say, oh, we're going to need people who understand the 101 of sustainability. Can you guys at the university, make sure you churn them out? Because I think the business world is getting the idea that net zero, carbon neutrality, all these things are really important, because governments are changing laws and regulation because of climate change. So today, I would say young people, it definitely is beneficial to them to have a kind of 101 grasp of the basics.
The grasp of the basics. I mean, you and I started at a time where, yeah, tree hugger was a nice way of forming the comments that were placed. But I mean, this has become a focused passion in your life, and you work in these issues all over the world. How does someone in Hong Kong just trying to establish the economic basis for a job start thinking in such a wider perspective?
I think, first of all, for young people, I do say to them that do we read widely. It's much easier today to read widely because you can go on the internet and find pretty much everything. So do go and read stuff on sustainability. This is just going to fill out a part of your general knowledge that will be essential for your work. Secondly is I would also suggest to young people to join some kind of professional and business networks. Because if you are in your 20s, you'd want to be out there and be known. And perhaps another way of looking at yourself is regard yourself as a brand. And so, what might be the Glenn Froma brand? What would people think of when they think of you? So, would you like to be known as someone, who is friendly and sort of quite knowledgeable and, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. And don't be afraid of your private interest, because all of us also have a private life. When you ask people, when you get to know them, you find out, what they like to do, what talents they have. And I always say to younger people, oh, you can cook. Well, that's a very great skill. You can bake cakes, right? Bring a cake to the office. That's that's brand building. You can sing. Oh, well, you know what I mean, Glenn? I'm just saying that we're not one-dimensional. All the people who are online right now, ask yourself, who are you? And if you're just talking about your kind of polite, professional, sort of competent self, well, that's only a part of you. And it's important to be all of you. And you never know that those aspects of you, how they come into usefulness in a whole life perspective.
The connection with people that you're talking to and engaging people in different ways is exceptionally important. We've seen in sustainability that we run into somewhat negative criticisms constantly. And to be able to breach that gap in other ways and get our own views across is very helpful. Could you talk a little bit about your connections with Rocky Mountain Institute and the work that you've done in bringing Amory Lovins to Hong Kong?
Right, but before I talk about my friend Amory, let me just talk about people.
Please.
You know, if we're going to do something really revolutionary in the world, like net zero, we haven't done it before in the world. And even a guru like Amory, that we'll talk about in a minute, he's done some things, but not everything. And we're going to have the whole society, the whole world, kind of get to a new state. It'll be a big revolution for all of us. So the only way really for us to get there is have all hands on deck. That means we need to co-learn, we need to understand how to work across discipline. This is all actually quite hard to do. So certain skills, certain soft skills about people, about working together with people, understanding how to communicate and talk to people. These are what I call the soft skills, you know, for us to deal with the sustainability and climate challenge. They're essential.
Christine, you touched on a number of areas, and one of the points that you stressed was learning, being open to more stimuli, learning, reading more, having connections with professional associations. I know that there are specific associations that are focused on this, and I know there's a huge portfolio of books. Could you suggest one or two titles to the audience that they might like to look at just to see and learn more about some issues?
Can I bring a book and actually put it up?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Here it is.
Numbers Don't Lie.
By Václav Smil. He's another one of my favorite authors. He is also an energy guru, and he has been writing very detailed, very scholarly, scientific things for a long, long time. I love reading his things because they're very geeky, but they're very tight and succinctly put. So this is his newest book, which I just bought last week. And, you know, he kind of puts it in very simple terms, 71 great questions that he finds people ask a lot. So, for example, you know, Planet of the Cows, about concrete, about carbon, you know, about glazing windows, whether they save energy or not, and, you know, things like that. These are the kind of general knowledge that I think are fun. So obviously, for people who are environmental professionals, you might know all of this already. But for those who are, you know, generalists but interested in the environment, that's a fun book to read. And it's easy. You can dip in and dip out.